Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. Let's make a deal version on Thursday, a scheduled off day for the Chicago Cubs. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo, and Gregory Braggs Jr. running the ones and twos from Studio B.
As they call them.
That's right. Shout out to all of our diehards out there. We love you. Please sign up and subscribe to be a new diehard at ALLCITY.com. The newest members, Keith, Peter, Jonah, Matthew, and, wait for it, Caleb. Cannot confirm or deny that it's the Bears quarterback.
No, I will. It's the Bears quarterback.
He likes our
He's
content.
on it, right?
He likes our content.
He's a diehard.
Big of him. Credit to him for...
He saw us chanting in the bleachers at the 120 Club.
Here's what it is.
True.
So we'll do this back. Hey, Caleb, thanks for being a diehard. Thanks, Caleb. Appreciate it, Caleb.
Thanks for going to the Cubs game and not the White Sox game.
That's right. Thanks, Caleb.
Which, by the way,
Cole Kmet has helped us out there, maybe.
For sure. But by the way, I thought the discourse related to about that was so dumb because if you remember, if you go back to the Justin Fields, when Justin Fields was drafted, he went to a Cubs game, but he has plenty of pictures wearing a White Sox jersey because he's thrown out a pitch or two there as well. So he never actually chose a side. There's still time for Caleb Williams to go to a Sox game. I just think that entire thing, that discourse is the dumbest discourse you can have.
There's no vibe for him to go feel right now. What's he going to do? So, I mean, right now, if he's going to a baseball game, he's going to Wrigleyville. The Sox were in first place.
If a tree falls in the forest, does anyone hear it?
You
know what I mean?
No.
So if Caleb throws a pitch
if someone's in the forest, they'd probably hear it.
If Caleb throws a pitch, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him, guys.
Me and Braggs have been fighting today.
Braggs and Ryan, we need the wrestling match. We need to get a
Usually
ring.
it's Cody and Ryan that I have to separate.
Yeah. Today it's me and Bragg. Me and Braggs have been fighting.
So today, I thought some of the conversation we would talk about would be trade related, right? Because everybody agrees the bullpen needs help. Now the debate becomes, when does it need help? And what would you give up to get that help? That's really the real conversation, because we can't say they should have signed this guy or this guy. I guess you can say it before the season started, but it's pointless. They didn't do it. So if there's a way to fix it outside of Wesneski being moved to the bullpen and maybe Cade Horton coming up and being part of the bullpen and all the different possibilities that are out there, what would you give up to get some of the names that you consider would be helpful or necessary for the Cubs bullpen? We'll talk about that. We'll hit you up with some information about Kyle Hendricks. We'll talk a little bit about the offensive woes and whether or not Seiya will help boost that up. But let's get to that first, because Cody and I hit on it yesterday, and
actually the last 2 days.
Last couple days, but
seems like every day now.
But sports radio will hit on it every single day. And I hear calls all the time saying, we need to go get Kopech or Hader or Clase. So I looked up. Fox in early April put out a list of who they considered the top 10 closers in baseball. Now, if you're really trying to fix the Cubs, are you just looking for a guy that can fill the middle of the bullpen? Or are you looking for somebody that would be considered a guaranteed closer?
I think the priority would be at least a high leverage back end reliever. You could fill out the bullpen with solid guys throughout, but if we're talking about what their needs are right now, a guy that you could put in the back end is probably more of a priority.
You're looking for your Kimbrel of a few years ago. You're looking for
Wade Davis.
Wade Davis is a good example, right?
Chapman.
Right now, according to Fox, in April, they said Edwin Diaz, Devin Williams, Duran, Hader, Emmanuel Clase of Cleveland, David Bednar of Pittsburgh, who you'll get a taste of, Camilo Duvall, Evan Phillips, Ryan Helsley of the Cardinals, and Raisel Iglesias. Okay, first of all, we're going to eliminate some names because we're not even going to talk about them. Edwin Diaz is not happening.
No.
That's why I'm laughing.
Devin Williams is not happening.
Listing them all off. Yeah.
I would assume Hader's not happening.
No.
They're off to a bad start, but if he's pitching like that, who wants that contract?
Right.
Yeah.
Clase, as much as Cubs fans have fallen in love with that idea, they're in first place.
Yeah, that's
Best
gonna
team
be,
in
So-
the American
it's
League.
gonna be tough to get convinced
So
them to
you're
trade
shelving
it.
that for now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about Bednar? The Pirates start to fall out. Thought he had 2 years left going into this season. Does he have one more year left? Or is he a free like and before you get too excited about Bednar, who I was excited about last year, I was like, they should go after Bednar and trade one of their prospects. Okay. He's blown 3 saves.
Well, Fangraph says he's a free agent in 2027, so he still does
Okay.
have some team control.
So it's going to cost you more.
Yeah,
But
I mean-
already he has 3 blown saves already.
Three blown saves. He's got a 9.69 ERA.
Nice.
Got a lot of strikeouts and a lot of walks, but the ERA, I mean, the FIP is lower, so that ERA should be lower. He's giving up a lot of home runs per fly ball, which is just like 18.8%.
Oh, man.
Which is just like way above where he's been. As
You're
like
really selling me
last
on
few
how
years.
bad the Cubs need him.
Well, I guess on one side, yeah, like he's been bad, but on the other side, it's like this is a guy that had built up a track record the last few years of being a really good closer.
Yeah.
Like maybe this is a buy lower type of scenario, and hope you can kind of get him
But
back
with
to
all
what he
that
was.
control,
His expected ERA on Baseball Savant is 5.15.
Yeah.
Expected batting average against him is 255.
Okay.
Average exit velocity against him, he's in the 16th percentile, 90.6. But his chase whiff rate, K rate, and even his walk rate are all in the red. They're all in the high percentiles. You know, his chase percentage, 98th percentile on Baseball Savant. So
Looks like he's just getting hit hard and
yeah,
barrels,
he
not missing
will
barrels.
get strikeouts, but looks like he's had trouble with giving up hits at the same time. So he is the type of guy the Cubs need in terms of a guy in the back end that can limit chaos. But it comes down to do you believe that this is just a slow start and will he be better, or do you think that he's starting to fall apart and he ain't going to get it back together? Like, I kind of like the idea of maybe buying low. You won't, but at the same time with all that control and it's only been a month, like if you were to try and make this trade tomorrow.
and it's in the division,
Right.
So you better be ready to see that prospect come back and play you a lot.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm not even really advocating for him. I'm just saying, like, I'm explaining it all out. If the Pirates actually decided to sell him, and it would absolutely be more so towards the deadline, because even though they're under 500 right now, they have shown that they can be a competitive team. They were in first place like 3 weeks ago, So, yeah, I think he definitely is someone that I'm intrigued about, but I'm also, I don't like trading in division. I really don't.
And the question is, what would you have to give up? Joe from Obvious Shirts, our friend there, says Bednar just doesn't get excited pitching in front of 10,000 fans. He'd be amped in front of 40,000, and amped Bednar is very good.
It's the Javi Baez argument that ever since he left Wrigley and even the Mets, he needs that crowd.
I think that argument's dumb, but and maybe in this guy's case, in Bednar's case, for the that fits my narrative. I'm down for that.
And Cody, what do you mean you don't like trading within the division? May I remind you of a
Aramis
trade
Ramirez?
once upon a time for Aramis Ramirez, Kenny Lofton, and Randall Simon to lead the Chicago Cubs, a resurgent team, a young team that didn't have many expectations early in the year, and that trade catapulted them into the playoffs.
That's fair. At the same
Remind you of
time, I
Lou
just
Brock
think
to the Cardinals.
I think the Pirates are a team that in the next couple of years could be a team that's really good at the same time, though. So do you want to see whoever you send to the Pirates to be potentially give you a couple revenge games every year like we've had to deal with Dylan Cease? I'm not sure about that. So I understand you can't be afraid to make that type of trade. And it's worked out, like Bragg said. But also Lou Brock happened too.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Lou Brock happened too.
It's with every trade. There's risk with all of that. And
Lou Brock doesn't count. That was from
It was before your lifetime.
80 years ago.
I wasn't born yet.
I mean, I wasn't either, but
Wasn't an
I mean,
idea
he's a
yet.
Hall of Famer, okay?
What year was that?
That the Cubs gave away to the Cardinals, their division rival.
You're asking me. I don't know.
That's worse than fucking Dylan Cease and Eloy
It was my
Jimenez.
young childhood they traded.
My parents were probably born by then.
Other
Luke,
names
Luke
thrown
was
out
at
there.
the enchantment of the under the sea dance when that trade went
That's
down.
not right. That's not right. Go back to Bears.
To my closing on it is, I think he's definitely more of a guy that you could get at the deadline if the Pirates continue to fall.
So a name to consider
Down
that
the
might
road.
help the bullpen down the road. I think we both agreed yesterday by saying this is not currently the time to go make that move for a Bednar or Tanner Scott or Kopech or whoever. I think you wait and see when you get Hendricks back and some of these other guys, how do the other players adjust to new bullpen roles? What ends up happening with Cade Horton? How does he fit into what you're trying to do? And then wait and see what you have to do. So again, closer to the deadline. That's just my opinion. It may end up costing you the division, but I would not want to overpay now if I'm really that close to teetering on, hey, can I win this division this year? That's just, even though I think that the ceiling for this team could be pretty high. Now, should I mention the publication or should I just say that there's a website out there?
You can say, you got to give him credit.
Fansided. Fansided has had a couple articles about this out there. They suggested, I can't even say this, Christopher Morel for Ryan Helsley.
When was this? When was it? Like, when was that? Was that recently?
I believe it was like 2 days ago. But like, I think it was the 7th. They said Morel for Helsley. And then they also suggested Matt Mervis and Christian Hernandez for Tanner Scott. Now, that's easier to swallow because I don't think Matt Mervis is a part of the future. Maybe Christian Hernandez is or isn't.
At least
But remember, Scott's just
he's
half a season rental.
To have a season rental, and like I've like read the chat and stuff like that. Like that's everyone's favorite pick for who they should go get. He's walking guys more like at a higher level than he has since his rookie year in 2017. He's striking out fewer guys since the lowest strikeout rate since 2017. Like his numbers aren't very good. Like he has a 2.57 ERA, but you also take into consideration he's got a 194 BABIP, which is very, very low. And if you assume that regresses closer to 300 or just more towards 300, those numbers probably go up. So, like, he hasn't had a great year himself. So, like, I know he had a really good 2023. I'll give him that. He had 2.31 ERA, a 2.17 FIP, which is even better than that. He was striking out a lot of guys. He wasn't walking. He was walking at a by far career low rate guys last year. So he had a really, really good year last year for Miami. He's not had a great start to his 2024, the first month and change. So like, this is, I think, when we kind of talk all the time about how bullpens are kind of roller coasters and volatile, and just you don't know if you could trust guys from one year to the next. Like, it's another example that, like, maybe he figures it out and ends up with a great year, but like so far the numbers are saying that he's just not having a great year down in Miami. So it's just one of those things where, like, it could be like what I said with Bednar. It's like a buy low guy, and you get him in the pitch lab and working with Tommy Hotovy and those guys, and maybe you help him turn around pretty
But are
quickly.
Mervis and Christian Hernandez really selling low? Now, Mervis, you might say, okay, he's not going to fit
They're
in.
selling
You've
Mervis
got
pretty
Bush.
low.
Like, I get that. Christian Hernandez, I agree that his stock has fallen, but he's a young guy and was once the number 2 prospect in the organization.
His stock is also going back up. He's had a good year this year.
I
in Myrtle Beach.
personally feel like it's too much. Now, I know you got to give up something of value to get something of value back, but it's a short rental. Mm-hmm. And
the difference is he's what, like 20 years old? He's still probably more like a 2026 call up. So that's the difference with him, right? Like, and I think with the shortstops that they do have in the farm, like Jefferson Rojas.
Yeah, but if you're going to use him as a
Herrera.
chess piece, would he be better used in some other move other than a rental for a
Perhaps, yeah.
possible help to the bullpen?
Yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, you're able to move like Canario and Mervis for a guy like Tanner Scott. In a perfect world, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
The thing is that the Marlins have to like agree to that, you know. But for me, Tanner Scott, I said this on the other day that I think he's more of like a, you know, not necessarily a setup man, but like a late inning reliever, high leverage. That doesn't mean closer. Maybe he can close in certain, like, kind of like how you were hoping Neris was going to be this year with Alzolay as your closer. Just get Neris opportunities to close on days that maybe Alzolay isn't available, right? Now all of that's blown up because Alzolay has lost the job, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like he could close for you, but I don't necessarily think he's your automatic shutdown closer.
All right. We're going to continue this conversation. I see Gary's chimed in. Our buddy Gary Ross says closer, you always have to pay a premium. Absolutely. It's one of the most expensive things you can go after.
Yeah.
So that's why another reason why I say don't try and do it now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you're for some of these names, guys that aren't performing very well, you're paying a premium for guys that aren't performing very well and hoping that you can get them back on track.
Right. Hoping the pitch lab helps. I tell you what, if you're going to do this, you might want to save up by, you know, occasional wager on Circa Sportsbook. That way you build up your portfolio and you got a little more you can give out. You're not as afraid to give out when the wallet keeps growing.
Yeah, well, got to do better than me because I've been on a cold streak, bro. All right.
Well, if you're down, somebody else is up most likely.
Shout out to
It could
whoever's
be
doing
you.
well. Yeah,
Could be you.
If you've been fading me lately, congrats to you. 3 reasons I love Circa. Their tight money line splits. The games strive to be a -110 split on their menu, unlike other sports books, which use -115 or -20 splits. Circa Sports keeps as little money as possible on large market bets, especially compared to other books. And then they don't limit players based on their winnings. And a lot of books do, which is really annoying when you are hot. And believe it or not, I have had my stretches where I have been hot, folks. But on Circa, they're never going to limit you. They're going to let you stay hot and just keep being hot whenever you at least make all the right decisions, right? Every player has the same limits, unlike other books who do limit winning players. They actually encourage bettors to download and explore other sports betting apps available so they can compare the lines from each sports book, and Circa normally has a better odds. Then finally, I really don't like chatbots, and that's why I love Circa, because they don't use chatbots. You can talk to someone whenever you have an issue on the app, perhaps, or maybe you made the wrong bet or something. You don't use a chatbot with them. You actually just send an email to their people, and they get back to you pretty quickly. All aspects of their app are being run by the same people that runs the same main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. So download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates like Friday 120 Club. Not this Friday, but the Friday after. If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER, text GAMB to 833-234, or visit areyourreallywinning.com.
And I got to tell you guys about Game Time. Circa. Nothing goes better between Circa and Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. Also, you gotta note Tim McGraw and Janet Jackson coming to the United Center soon. You want to go to that?
More importantly, Justin Timberlake.
Justin Timberlake in June and in October is what I'm being told.
It's a second and a third leg.
Yeah. Or Def Leppard and Journey coming to Wrigley
now
this
you're
summer.
talking my
Can't
time,
wait to
yeah.
go.
So
Can't wait.
Hysteria. Yeah.
So if you're interested in any of that, get your ticket to Game Time, or you mentioned the Friday 120 Club next Friday, Cubs Pirates. Whether you go to join the Friday 120 Club, and whether you want to sit in the bleachers or you want to sit somewhere else in the stands, you got to go and get your tickets with Game Time. Some of the things I really like at Game Time, they got zone deals, so you save even more when you choose a section and let Game Time choose the seats. It's got all-in pricing, so you toggle this feature, and it shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You get that seat view. So whatever venue you're at, you don't know exactly what your view of whether you're at sports event or a concert or whatever. You don't know exactly what you're going to get. Game Time gives you a panoramic view of your seat from your seat in the app before you buy. And they also have the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Hey, quick question for you. So, what type of prospects are you willing to give up? Because I'm watching our live YouTube chat. Best way to enjoy the experience is subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page so you don't miss any shows and you can get in on a live YouTube show. A question specifically for our guy Gary or whoever you might be out there. What would you be willing to give up for Finnegan? Let's say Class A becomes available and Cleveland does fall out of it, or they're just willing to do it. Are you willing to give up your favorite prospect to go get this move because that closer reliever is so valuable? Are you willing to throw in Jake Slaughter on a deal? Right?
That's a good question.
Are you willing to make Jake Slaughter the number 2 or 3 player on this list to go get this reliever that you want?
I'd say yes, but
right, but I don't.
Gary.
I'm asking Gary. Gary, would you be willing to put Slaughter on the trade block to go get this reliever that all Cubs fans seem to want right now?
For the sake of this exercise, say the Guardians just completely shit their pants in the next 2 months and they find themselves selling.
Is he the peak guy? Like if you had your right now your fantasy ending here for the Cubs season, and you're like, well, we're going to get a closer from somebody. Is it Bednar? Is it Clase? Is it?
Well, you asked Gary.
I don't
he
really
said give up Triantos and Canario for Finnegan.
Okay. But I'm asking you, would you give up Triantos and Slaughter?
Here's the.
I think the three of you would give up Slaughter for not much.
I'm asking Gary. He says, no, Luke. Get Finnegan.
No matter what closer you wanted, every team asks straight up, or number one.
Their main ask is, I don't
Slaughter.
care if you call him 1, 2, or 3, is Slaughter available? And you're Jed Hoyer. But you're really Gary. Are you willing to put him on the list?
They're calling it, we want the Slaughter guy.
Give us Slaughter.
We'll give you Slaughter
Name your price.
if you pay for our vending machines for the next 3 years.
No, that's not enough.
Okay.
I listen, I do think he's possibly a guy that could be put in one of these deals because he is having success at AAA. Teams might see him and say, okay. And he's, at the moment, as we can tell, he's blocked on the major league roster unless they're willing to move on from guys like Madrigal and Mastroboni. Yeah. Anyways,
as far as Class A, for the sake of the exercise, I'd be willing to move anyone in the top 100 for him except for Cade Horton. I'd be willing to do it only because he has years of control. He has multiple years of being a lockdown closer for the Guardians.
So if it costs you Owen Casey,
I'm willing to do it. He's the only closer out there that I'm willing to do that for. I'm still not moving Cade Horton for him, and that's the guy that the Guardians want. Cade Horton, I'm not moving for anyone unless, and this is like a big unless one of the best pitchers on the market somehow becomes available. Maybe he's on a team that's selling, and the Cubs they want to bolster the rotation even more. That's the only way. And that guy's also got to have multiple years of control too. That's how much Cade Horton is worth to me. I'm not the same as every fan though.
Michael Evans says no Casey. I'm sure some people are going to say no Shaw. Yeah.
Right.
No Alcantara.
But if you want someone like Class A, again, for the sake of this exercise, he is someone that you would have to give up someone in the top 100 for because he has such a good contract for like the next, 3-4 years? He's
under team control for like another 3 years, right?
Just scares
me. He's not
me.
a free agent until.
But they're not going to trade him anyway because he's, they're good. They're in the first place in the Central, and
it's most likely a moot point.
Yeah.
I just to put a bow on it, I have this quote from Jed Hoyer on obviously it was after the Marlins Padres trade,
right?
So talking about it and asked are you going to start calling up the Marlins, see who's available, that kind of stuff. And he said, to be honest, I knew that trade was in the works. I've been talking to the Marlins, and then he hedges this. Just in general, as we talked to different people, so that wasn't a surprise. But I don't expect that to kick off a ton of early deals. I think it'll maybe be earlier than usual, but it's not going to be all of a sudden in mid-May, everyone's making a bunch of trades. I don't expect that to happen. So, yeah, Jed Hoyer, his job is to just be generally checking in with other teams. Like, that's what he's supposed to be doing throughout a season. But we know the way this stuff works, just because the Marlins made this trade. And as he said, he also said that his guess was that the Arias trade was already discussed, in the offseason, and then this is when it got done. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat as I don't expect that to have any indication that all teams are going to start selling in May. Why? Because I mean, obviously you have a couple potential trade partners who those guys don't look as appealing now as they maybe did in the offseason, right? So in one sense, maybe you want those guys to get back on track and build up some of that value. But if you're trading in mid-May versus mid-July and later, heading up to the trade deadline, you are limiting your market of teams. What you want the contenders to really emerge, so that once they get closer to the trade deadline, they know what their holes are on their team, what their flaws, and what they want, and they'd be willing to pay more to get those guys. So on one hand, you're gonna have to pay a premium to get a team to trade any of these closers now because of that, because they're going to. Because they want to see that build. They want to see that market build. And if they're trading them now, you're potentially limiting other potential trade partners that would be willing to pay even more. So it's just that. That's why we don't see a ton of trades in May. So everyone yelling at the Cubs to make this trade. It's what I always say. It's it takes two sides to make a deal. And some of these other sides may just not want to make a deal right now for one of these guys because they know they could get better offers in July. So at that end, you're going to have to pay even more than what the guy – you're probably willing to pay more than what the guy value-wise is worth to get anyone right now. So I think the ultimate thing is what I've been saying is that getting your pitching staff healthy, whether that's Justin Steele just came back, Kyle Hendricks, Jordan Wicks, getting those guys healthy. Drew Smiley threw a bullpen the other day. Julian Mayweather, I think a month from today is when he's able to be activated, and hopefully he's okay to go by then, right? Just getting the whole staff healthy, getting those relievers back, and getting your starters back, so you push some of the guys that have filled in the rotation into the bullpen. That's the most clear way to try to improve this bullpen right now, because trades just aren't at this moment in the season. They're just rare. They don't happen this much, and those teams are going to have to pay more to get them right now.
I'll be real surprised, even if the bullpen continues to struggle, if they go out and make a big deal with one of their top 10 prospects.
Can we just talk about this in the act of what they could be doing in July then? Because I don't think. Yeah, well
then I think it's fair game that maybe some of those guys are available.
Right.
Some, not all.
But
some might be available.
In my opinion, we've talked a ton about making a trade right now. We talked about Mason Miller. I'm not going to repeat myself on that again. I've just given you my two thoughts on Class A. If that imaginary thing happened, when people are mentioning Finnegan, are they talking about Kyle Finnegan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Oakland, right? I mean, his baseball savant isn't very impressive either. Will I take him? Sure. No, I believe he's with Nationals.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm looking at the wrong part of his baseball savant. I would take Finnegan, but he's also another guy that I don't think you have to trade a ton for. So, I just don't think that he is going to be the lockdown closer, though. He'd be a nice piece to go into your bullpen, sure, at the deadline whenever you need an extra bullpen arm. I still fully believe that the Cubs closer situation will be best off if they can develop that guy. Can that be Ben Brown? They're limiting the innings for Cade Horton this year. Can he be a guy that develops it, or not develops, but just can be that guy for the rest of this year once he comes up? Can, I don't know, someone else that maybe I'm not even thinking become that guy? Obviously, a lot of the young guys have to get seasoning, and they have to earn those chances. And that can be a rocky road. But at this point, to me, considering the options that really aren't out there, in my opinion, that's the best case scenario, unless you're willing to throw away a bunch of guys.
Hey guys, Christopher Morel, Michael Bush, and Cody Bellinger have provided the power for the Cubs, presented by Illinois pork producers. Savor the flavor, savor the gains, and celebrate any occasion by enjoying the best pork produced by our Illinois pig farmers. Morel, Bush, and Bellinger, the top 3 home run producers on the team. Morel with 8, Bush with 7, Bellinger with 6, and now Seiya coming back Friday, maybe Saturday. Hopefully he will be a big lift for that offense as well. I'll tell you what was a lift for me. Little Salerno's pizza.
Ooh.
Anytime a little Salerno's pizza is around, that's a lift for me.
I was jealous. I heard you guys were getting Salerno's.
Oh, we had it. Did we
all the
ever?
way at Wrigley Field. And
cheese
couldn't
and
get any.
sausage. Delicious. And we got it hot. Right out of the oven.
Nothing better than Salerno's. Nothing better when you get Salerno's for free. Like
Bingo.
Like me and Luke did.
That's right. Stop by Salerno's
nice.
on tap, located at 1201 West Grand in Chicago's West Town. Enjoy our tavern-style pizza and ice-cold beers. Whether you're headed to the game or want to watch it live on our big screen TVs or watching from home, we've got you covered. Go to salernospizza.com or call 312-666-3444. Mention CHGO and get half off your pizza. Again, if you're not a numbers guy, that's 50% off. 50% off. Half off. Head to salernospizza.com or call 312-666-3444 for more information. Mention us, CHGO, 4 important letters, CHGO, and get half off your pizza. Speaking of great deals, man, the other day I dropped off my dry cleaning, laundry, wash and fold, boom, was ready the same day over at City One Price Cleaners. Yeah. Customers save over 30% on their dry cleaning bill by switching to City One Price Cleaners. Simple, transparent service. Other cleaners charge a different price for every garment type. Plus, they have upcharges, and you have to pay sometimes a different price each time you visit. But at CD One Price Cleaners, the name says it all. We charge one low price for any garment. Yep, even those sports jerseys, same one low price. So Braggs, who's been wearing this Caleb Williams USC jersey every day for the last 2 weeks, just take it in there. Get that thing clean. Feel comfortable that it's going to come back to you in perfect shape. Okay?
Definitely wash that thing.
And it's a fast turnaround. CD One Price Cleaners has your order ready same day or next day. Just like I told you, other cleaners will take 2 to 4 days to have your garments clean and ready. And they send you a text alert when it's ready to go. What a convenience that is. Sounds like a simple thing. Everybody should do it. Every business should do it. Here's a text. Your stuff's ready. Simplifies your life. They do everything too. Dry cleaning, wash and fold laundry, blankets, comforters, tailoring, alterations, leather cleaning, area rug cleaning. Visit chgo.cd1, that's one.com. Link in the description. Once you're there, you can get to pick from an in-store coupon or online pickup and delivery coupon options. Love them. They do a great job. Like I said, it's fast. They do the job well, and they send you the text. That's all you need. I don't need a lot for my dry cleaners. They exceed all of them.
Oh, yeah.
They exceed all of them. Yes, Cody.
I didn't mean to just shit on everyone's opinions or shut down any kind of potential trades or whatever. I do think the Cubs need to add back end bullpen help. However, I guess I'm just living in a more realistic reality than a lot of people. That's how I feel.
I think the reality is that it's going to be hard to do it. Could they do it, and maybe should they do it? I can see that side of the argument. It just will be hard to do it right now. July, not that it's going to be easy to do in July, but it'd probably be a little bit easier to find the sellers than it is now. I'm talking more so even in July, though. If we're talking about a real lockdown closer, even in July, I don't think there are going to be a ton of options. Maybe we didn't mention Duvall for the Giants.
If Houston stays this bad and they say haters available.
It depends on how he's pitching, Maybe he needs a change of scenery. Maybe you can sell low on him and get him. I don't know. But the list that you have, Ryan Helsley, okay. Are the Cubs
not for Morel?
I'm not trading Morel for him. And also trading with the Cardinals, that just sounds like you're setting yourself up for pain. Evan Phillips, he's not going to be traded by the Dodgers. Duvall might be available just because the Giants are under 500. They've kind of been underwhelming so far this year, Maybe he's available. But he's going to cost you some too, So it's not that I'm not willing to move prospects for some of these high-end closers that we listed at the top of the show. But the ones that everyone keeps talking about, whether it's Scott, Finnegan,
Kopech.
Even Kopech.
Kopech would have to show me so much more consistency before I'd be willing to say, let me hand the keys to my playoff chances to Michael Kopech.
This is his first year with the White Sox as a reliever.
Give him a couple months. If he's pitching great for the next 2 months, then I'll consider handing him the keys to our closer's role on the north side. Right now, I wouldn't. Not that I wouldn't put him in our bullpen if I were Jed Hoyer, but I wouldn't say, this is the big move. Hey, White Sox, here's Slaughter, here's, and here's not Cade Horton, but let's say it's Alcantara. I mean, you're going to want to see Alcantara over on the south side for the next? Better be sure it's okay as long as Kopech's the guy.
No matter what happens the rest, up until the deadline, I doubt Kopech is going to cost you a top 100 guy. Because, again, it hasn't even pitched one full year out of the bullpen. And as a starter, he was very, very inconsistent. You still probably have to give up something because you can't teach 102.
Bodie.
You're also trading with the White Sox.
And you're also trading with the White Sox. And personally, I really don't want to trade with the White Sox. I hate the fact when we talk about trading with the White Sox. Nothing has ever come good with trading with the White Sox.
Oh, Sammy Sosa.
That is it.
That's your favorite player.
That is it. That is literally it. And it's been 20-some years, bro. And all you got out of that, and this is not
was your entire fandom.
It's my entire fandom. All right. That's
it.
it.
The summer of '98.
We got Cody. Cody wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that trade.
You got the American flag.
If it weren't for that trade
after 9/11, that was a great moment.
Anyways,
got the hot.
And we got.
All
the end
I'm
of the
saying
show.
is that all I'm saying is that trading with the White Sox just doesn't sound like a good idea, especially with where their organization's at right now, especially with all the talent that they had that they just Nick Madrigal was taken 4th overall. Give me a break. They don't know how to develop anything over there, man. I'm good. I just feel like it's bad juju to trade with them.
All right.
It's like trading with the Rays. You're setting yourself up for failure. That's how I feel. I know it sounds very meatballish for me to say. That's fine.
What was the Tepera? Who did the Cubs get for Tepera?
What's his name? Bailey Horn, who they ended up sending back to the White Sox, who they just DFA'd I don't know.
Oh, really?
2 weeks
I got
see that.
They sent them back to make room for Cody Bellinger on the 40-man roster.
I
So
got
what a trade.
Ryan Tepera for Cody Bellinger, basically.
Yeah.
I got drunk with Steve Trout at a Cubs convention.
No kidding.
Once
Yeah,
upon
the
a time.
lefty, Steve Trout.
But I don't think we traded. I know he played for both teams.
He
but
did.
Did he get traded to the north side?
I think Steve Trout was a trade.
Yeah.
Steve Stone.
Steve
Harry
Stone.
Carey?
Harry Carey, left. Sure.
Yeah.
Technically.
2 weeks in a row.
Chin up.
2 weeks in a row where I've said, and then you guys, you guys can do the show. I'm just gonna sit here.
You said nothing had ever come. All I said was
Right.
Sammy Sosa.
One thing.
Bobby Howery.
It just jumped into my mind, Cody. I wasn't picking on you. I
didn't say you were picking on me, but I know that people are gonna look at this as Cody, you're a fucking moron.
We don't
Shut
have
up.
to clip it off.
You're
You're the one that clips them off, so don't clip it off,
credit
and
for
nobody
me.
will ever
Credit
see
for
it.
I'll clip it.
There you go. Bragg's already timestamped it.
This is I'm thinking about what I clipped myself big of me of what a week and a half
It
ago.
was.
Oh, the strikeout thing.
The strikeout
About Morel.
About Morel. And he hasn't been striking out. Struck out 3 times yesterday. What?
Other than that.
Other than that,
Okay. Anyways, so a day off today, meaning Dansby Swanson gets a couple days off in a row for his knee. It's coming at the right time for some guys. Cubs lost 2 out of 3 in the series to San Diego. Now you get the Pirates, just the second series of the season against your own division. And the pitching matchups are interesting for the Cubs. Tyone, 1.13 ERA. Assad, 1.66 ERA. And Steele, 0.96 ERA. I mean, yeah, 2 games, but still, it could be worse.
That's how you shape a narrative, right?
But when it's 2 games, it could be the opposite. He could have a 14.
ERA,
It could be really high.
Matt Mervis and his 81 ERA right now.
You feel pretty good if it without it being Imanaga, you feel pretty good with Tyone, Assad, and Steele being the matchups in this series, no matter whether what is her name, Livy Dunn's boyfriend is pitching or not.
Jones has been pretty good for them too, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's as far as
Pitching tomorrow, I believe.
as far as a 3, Imanaga would obviously at this point he's pitched their number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But you got Tyone, who's pitching very well coming off the IL. I think it's 4 starts in now. Assad's just been great. He's been in the number 2 to Imanaga all year. And then Steele is your ace. He's your 5th place finisher in Cy Young last year. Like this is coming off so 16 games in 16 days. They went 9-7. Do they want to be better? Sure, but would you take that with the way the offense struggled, the injuries? Like Cody Bellinger didn't or played maybe 1 or 2 games in that stretch. Seiya Suzuki didn't play a game in that stretch. Justin Steele pitched 1 time in that stretch. Like there was a lot of people missing during that 16-game stretch, which, as we know, like a long stretch like that is just hard on players without that off day. So they went 9-7. Did you want to be better? Sure, but I think you're still happy with a 9-7 record coming out of that stretch. And now you go into Pittsburgh, division rival, obviously, but you have 3 of arguably your top starters right now. Obviously, Imanaga's like right up there too, but he's been their number 1. I said that already. He's been their number 1, but like this is still a trio of starters that are pitching well. Steele obviously coming back off the injury, but like he's a guy you believe in wholeheartedly, even coming off an injury. So going into Pittsburgh and facing Livy Dunn's boyfriend and just it being a division game on the road, division series, like you feel very good about having those 3 guys on the mound right now.
Yeah,
you feel good, Cody? Feel better? This could be what would make you happy? A sweep? Only a sweep?
Nah,
2 out of 3.
I just want to win 2 out of 3.
It's just nice to win one.
They owned the Pirates last year. They legitimately own them.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the thing is that I do think the Pirates are a better team. They've been scuffling. They haven't played well of late. So maybe you're getting them at the right time. Like I like to point out, the Cubs and some of their fortune against some really good teams. Maybe they got those teams at the right time. I hope that the Cubs are getting the Pirates at the right time. Saturday, Skenes is going to be getting a lot of attention. Rightfully so. He's the best college pitcher at LSU. His last year,
It's 102.
Right. Throws hard, all these things. There's plenty of things. However, people also, said all these incredible things about Jackson Holliday. He gets called up, and he was ass. And he was so ass that they sent him back to the minors, all right? Not saying that Skenes is going to do that. I'm just saying that he's also just another player, and he also has proved absolutely nothing. So the only thing that kind of scares me about him is not even really him. It's the fact that the Cubs offense just has not been good of late, all right? When you don't hit off Vasquez the other day and you win because of a Michael Busch walk-off homer when you should have won by at least a few runs that night, in my opinion, I'm more worried about the offense than I am Skenes. If Skenes comes out and shoves it, I'll give him all the credit, but at the same time, I'm also going to be thinking this offense, like he's getting this offense at the right time for him. This offense has been bad. However, Seiya is going to be back in the lineup most likely tomorrow. Hopefully that helps guys get back into some sort of rhythm of where this offense was before, Seiya and Belly got hurt. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of how I view it, man. Like the Skenes is getting a ton of hype. I mean, MLB on Twitter, they put a video up of Steven Strasburg's major league debut, like, and they somehow use it like is Skenes the most hyped up prospect since Strasburg or something like that, and it's like perhaps yeah. I'm not necessarily disagreeing, but
only because Horton hasn't pitched yet,
and don't let me talk myself into it. So what I'm saying is though is he is yet to prove anything. So that can be good for the Cubs, and it can also be bad for the Cubs because they haven't seen him, so he could come out there and shove it down their throats. He hasn't seen them, so they could light him up. That's just the fact of the matter.
I generally think that's what happens on major league debuts with pitchers. There's very little middle ground. It seems to me like every game you watch, it's one of those. It's either the teams have no idea what to do against this new pitcher, or they're nervous, they miss a lot of spots, and it's like home run derby, and the guy's like, oh, so major leagues are different.
All this said, I think Skenes is going to be a really good major league pitcher, just like I still think Jackson Holliday is going to be a really good major league hitter. But like everyone was saying about Jackson Holliday, they were like, before he got called up, everyone was like, why isn't this guy on the major league team? Why isn't this guy here? Why isn't this guy here? Because he had such a great spring, all these things. Then he comes up and he was awful. He was legitimately awful. and it's like the opposite with Skenes and the fact that they started him in the minors and he's been killing in the minors.
People are angry it was the minors.
And people are
angry.
And people are angry that he didn't, he hasn't been called up sooner, right? So it's like we always say, or Ryan definitely says this a lot, and it limits my expectations for a lot of rookies. I'm glad that he does it, because if he didn't, then I'd just be as delusional as any other person. But at the end of the day, he's still just a prospect. And he has to prove that he can be a really good major league pitcher. And as we've seen with our own pitchers, they all go through ups and downs.
Yeah, that's a pretty smart thing to say. I'm sure I said it.
Would you trade Slaughter in a deal for Skenes? No, I'm kidding.
I'm keeping Slaughter.
Horton and Slaughter for Skenes.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. It's
Seems
just
reasonable.
He's a very, very hyped prospect, but we've seen hyped prospects struggle. Like, I think you said it the other day about Ellie De La Cruz, like how he lit the world on fire for a few weeks and then completely crashed back down to earth last season. And obviously he's doing well now again, but like that was the roller coaster of the rookie, right? And that just happens for a lot of rookies. Like, very few rookies come up and just have immediate success and just stay at that level.
Not every rookie is Chris Bryant.
No, Mike Taylor.
Yeah, exactly.
Mike Taylor in the live YouTube chat says you could say the same thing about Horton. You can.
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
That's true. Yeah, everybody that thinks he's going to come up and become either the closer, or the bullpen guy, or the frontline starter and starting a playoff game, just wait. Hold on. Don't push him too much.
When Mark Pryor came up, that was one of my favorite
moments. Now that was on Strasburg level for Cubs fans for sure. Pryor was.
I don't really remember it, honestly.
It was an unbelievable time to be a Cubs fan. It really was.
For multiple reasons.
And I know I said earlier about like Horton and like how he's untradeable and all these things. It's just because pitching is just so valuable if you can get a guy with that kind of potential. Just because I said all these things about Skenes and the fact that, who knows what he's going to be, he could certainly just come out there and shove it on Saturday. I hope not, but it's certainly possible. It's one of those things.
We know Ian Happ pitched pretty well in Pittsburgh, so maybe he gets he turns things around against Friday, but also Saturday against Paul Skenes.
He's got to get it going, man, because to me, Walsea and Bellinger were out. Like he was probably more disappointing to me than Dansby.
So Ryan, a little history lesson. Because the Cubs are playing the Pirates here this weekend. Mm-hmm. Mark Pryor made his major league debut on May 22nd at Wrigley Field against the Pittsburgh Pirates and became one of 14 Cubs pitchers since 1920 to win his first major league start by striking out 10 batters over 6 innings, pitched in a 7-4 victory.
Will Skenes do better than Pryor did in his first major league game? Sounds like a wager.
The Pirates revenge game for Mark Pryor,
the Mark Pryor revenge game.
All this talk of Mark Pryor just makes me fucking sad.
By the way, who was saying this? Somebody, I think it was The Hook, said that we've got a new pizza place in Mount Prospect. He's saying Salerno's is now downtown Mount Prospect. Long live Mrs. P and Me. I didn't know Mrs. P and Me was gone. I didn't Mrs. P and Me. I didn't know it was gone.
Yeah. But you added Salerno's, so
well, yeah, that's a trade I'll take. I was not. I mean, it was like a famous place, Mrs. P and Me, but it was just there for me. I didn't spend a lot of time there.
The era.
High school, I guess. Hey, Kyle Hendricks is going to make one more rehab start. That's the news, right? So they're not rushing him back.
Which means Wesneski is going to make another start, likely. Right?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Yeah. So
have we gotten an update on Wicks?
He was scheduled to throw a bullpen on Tuesday, and that was after we had already talked to Craig that day. We actually didn't get an update on that, but no reported problems coming out of that bullpen. So I think it was Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday for Wicks. So he's on the mend. Obviously, I said Smiley earlier on the mend, but yeah, Hendricks is scheduled to. So he pitched on Tuesday. So Sunday would be his next rehab start. Mm-hmm. And so so that means another at least one turn through the rotation for Hayden Wesneski. I did write about this the other day that pitchers on rehab assignments can be down for a maximum of 30 days. So, like, they don't have to. I think so. He like May 3rd or whatever, 2nd was the start of his rehab assignment. They don't have to activate him until
the question was more like, would they stretch that out and really sort of push that?
That's the question. So, at least for one more start, Hayden Wesneski does get to be in the rotation. And we got to talk to him obviously yesterday after the game. And I really liked one of his quotes because, like, the previous start, I think that was the Brewers, if I'm not mistaken. And he had talked about, like, going down to AAA to start the year. And he was very honest in saying that I didn't deserve to be up here to start the year. I wasn't in the right place with, different things that it wouldn't have worked. Like, he didn't think he was in the right place and deserved to be up to start the year, which is a very, like,
big of him to say,
honest self-reflection on things. But, he's come up. He's had 2 back-to-back quality starts, limited the Padres to 3 runs over 6 innings yesterday. Very good lineup, limiting them, tossing a quality start, keeping the Cubs in a position to win. And he said, like, as far as seeing the results and confidence in it, and he said that it helps for someone like me that has moved up and down, obviously between AAA and the majors, and it just confirms that I should be here and I deserve to pitch in the big leagues, or I should pitch in the big leagues. It also gives me a checkpoint of, like, hey, you're doing the right stuff, you're doing the right work, continue to do that. So, like, when we talk about young pitchers coming up, having some success, having some struggles, and finding that success again, that's just, like, confidence builders, and that, like, I guess the way I'd put it is just, like, it wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't just you came up, had success, and then the teams figured you out. Like, maybe that was part of it, but if you're able to make the adjustments, make the improvements, and get back to having success, that means that you do have the stuff to play at this level. You do have the stuff to pitch at this level. You do belong in the major leagues. And so I think Wesneski coming up when he did in 22 and having just a ton of success that September, and then having the struggles last season, like, I wouldn't say it's the best thing for him because, like, obviously the best thing is he just had all success and never struggled ever. But to be able to come back from that and realize, like, okay, I can make the adjustments and my stuff plays here. Like, that is a very, again, it's just a very good example of, like, the honest self-reflection he has and the willingness to make adjustments and come back and find results. I think that's, that's something I always like. I like talking to Wesneski for, is that he has that honest self-reflection and willing to talk about things like that, where, like, again, he's like, I didn't belong, right? He said, I didn't deserve to be here to start the year, but now he made the adjustments, and now his results are proving that he does belong here.
Now, I've brought this up before, and this is the one of the only good things about how I had to get up early and go with Ryan to spring training every single day when I was there, was that whenever we got there early, one particular day, I watched Wesneski and Albert Alzolay, like, walk around the entire, like, diamond or whatever, not Sloan Park, but the diamond across the parking lot from there, while I was just sitting there waiting. And as they would come around to the side that I was on, you could just hear them talking, and Albert trying to talk to him about, it looked like Wesneski was asking for advice on, like, how to be a major leaguer, and, like, all these, like, interesting things from someone in my perspective. I'm not in the locker room or anything like that, but just as a fan sitting on the other side of the fence waiting, I found it really interesting because as fans, I'll just be honest, when people say this kind of stuff, you take it with a little bit of a grain of salt as a fan. Admittedly, like, no one cares. Everyone cares about results from a fan perspective, right? I'm not saying that's me, and I'm not even really saying that's everyone in this YouTube chat. I'm just saying some people think that way. I just think that what I'm explaining that Wesneski was doing with Alzolay, to me, it felt like something that he felt like he needed to, do to, like, get to this point in a way. Like, learn from veterans, learn from older guys who've been around the league and have gone through ups and downs, like Albert did, and he's going through right now, right? Like, it means nothing in the grand scheme, in my opinion, in some aspect. But also, I think Wesneski doing things to try and get better is just, like, that. To me, that's someone trying to make their place in the major leagues, trying to find out how they can get better, take in as much advice as they can from a guy who's been in the league for a while.
Where was the quote, just to wrap that up, like, was it Mike Gundy, that was just telling people, he was telling fans, no player is ever going to care about this as much as you do. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, okay, that's a slap in the face. Maybe it should be a lot of players won't care about this as much as you do, because you hope that your team is full of Wesneskis and Wicks and guys that are trying to take any advantage they can, seek the information from Kyle Hendricks, Steele, whoever it might be. That's the type of guy you want on your team. You don't want the guy who's like, well, I got paid and I can sit down and I don't need to develop anymore. Not naming names on this team, not naming names on another team. Are those players out there? They're out there. You don't want them on your team.
Right.
You don't want them on your team. And I don't think the Cubs have very many of those guys. I think they've got a pretty good group of, hopefully the talent meets the want to be there. And if it does, then the Cubs have something special coming.
Just one more thing with Wesneski. I know we said that I think we're assuming he gets the start with Hendricks making that third rehab start. Craig didn't necessarily commit to that. Like his quote was, Wes pitching effectively helps us no matter what. We want to get healthy, of course, and hopefully we're always trending toward getting healthy, but he's pitching well, and that's going to help us no matter what. We'll kind of figure that out as we go. Good pitchers are going to help us win games. So, my assumption is that Wesneski, after pitching well again, is going to get that start instead of Kyle Hendricks, obviously, because he's making another rehab start. But it wasn't quite committed to by Craig Counsell after the game yesterday. So, I guess we'll see how this goes moving forward. But my assumption is that he is. But regardless, what he's shown, because he had two really good relief appearances as well, that Counsell just kind of believes in him regardless of where he's pitching for the Cubs, whether it's starting, bullpen, he believes in him.
Who do we got next Friday on the 120 Club, Cody?
Pirates
It
at
goes
home?
Pirates, Braves. Okay. Next 13 games against Pittsburgh and Atlanta.
Because you got my guy Matt Peck from CHGO Bulls taking my spot next Friday.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Bragg's skipping my birthday.
Bragg's just not going to be there. It's
Cody's
crazy.
birthday.
Unless the surprise at after hours is Bragg's jumping out of a cake. We've seen him with his shirt off at the combine.
That's true.
Or the Super Bowl or wherever that was.
Yeah.
Doing the Bert Kreischer deal.
Yeah.
You never know. We wheel in a big cake into almost home.
Happy
Out
birthday,
comes
Mr.
Braggs
President.
with just some whipped cream and little frosting.
I'll do it.
It's more than I care to. I'll skip that one then. Thanks.
I know we talked a lot about pitching today, but the offense, it's gotta find a way to heat up on this road trip.
Yeah,
it just
that's
absolutely
clear.
has to. I know we have to end the show. I just wanted to end the show saying that.
And maybe Seiya Suzuki is just a kind of spark to that. I know when we were talking yesterday with Kevin Wells, and he was saying that PCA brings something different and can spark the offense maybe. And I thought of it at the time and just forgot to say it that that's true, because he is just a little bit of a different offensive player than what you have. But why can't Seiya Suzuki be that spark, right? He very clearly could. Or there are games where Seiya Suzuki, we've seen it in the last. Obviously, when he was healthy even this year and then the last 2 months of last year, that he could carry an offense in a game or two games. So, while the rest of the team is maybe figuring it out, if you're able to add Suzuki Friday or Saturday, he could be that spark in the lineup that, if nothing else, he's at least giving you enough offensive production to potentially win your game. So, he could be that spark.
Just to remind people, and this is to Ryan's point, before Seiya and Bellinger got hurt, the offense was carrying this team.
Right.
The starting rotation was struggling to go deep into games. Now the starting rotation has got it together. Sure, you have some bullpen problems, but if you get these kinds of performances from your starting rotation and this offense gets back to hitting anywhere close to where they were before those two got hurt, we're not going to be watching a lot of one-run games and having to sweat out an eighth or a ninth inning all the time. We'll probably still have to, because baseball is baseball, and that's just, that's how it plays out. But this it goes back to my point that I've made a lot about how the 2016 Cubs, they did it for a half a season with Hector Rondon. And I know he was pretty good, and he was way better than what ALLCITY's been this year, right? But that team led the league in run differential, and they're the best team in baseball. This team probably isn't that, but if they can get better offensive production, hopefully you're not going into 8th, 9th innings in one-run games. Because, again, I just think offense, yeah, you need the pitching, you need the rotation, but you need your offense to show up and relieve some of that pressure from these relievers. Well, they absolutely do.
Even from that time between Suzuki getting hurt and Bellinger, whatever that was, like a week and a half, like from the beginning of the season through was April 23rd or whatever that day was, the Cubs had scored like the 5th most runs in baseball. So they have an offense, and the offense is in there. Has it slumped the last 2 weeks? Sure. But I think there's offense in there that will wake up. Like I have not full expectations, but I there's definitely good reason to hope that offense wakes up because there's good offensive players in there.
Yeah.
My expectation is that the next live edition of the CHGO Cubs podcast will be Sunday. At the end of that series, Brendan and I believe Corey will be back.
He is back now.
He's back now.
I did not have to go walk the dog.
He's landed.
He's back, yeah.
He's back. He's safe. Safe at home.
Yeah.
We'll get him his shots, and he'll be good to go.
Also,
Freebird has landed.
In relation to Ian Happ and his struggles,
yes.
The only reason I'm bringing this up is because they're left fielders, all right? Gurriel for the Diamondbacks, 657 OPS, all right?
That's not very good.
Will Benson, left field for the Reds, 673 OPS. He's hitting 193.
Also not very good.
Those guys, I think I've read in our chat before, people saying that they're better than Happ. I'm sure I have at some point. So, and they had higher expectations coming in this year for those teams than Ian Happ did for this team, in my opinion. So, I guess my point is that every player slumps. So, give him the benefit of the doubt, like Ryan said yesterday at the end of yesterday's show.
And give us the benefit of the doubt. Come back for the next podcast. See you on Sunday, then on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We're always here. And, of course, the social media. Make sure you follow us there and subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page. Oh, yeah. Make sure you're a diehard so you don't miss any Ryan's articles. And until we see you next time, vibe with us. As always, thanks for watching, and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.